The Kansas City Chiefs could be even more dangerous on defense after this. We're going to talk about our top 10 corners and if they'll grab one of them. Good morning, Chiefs Kingdom. Hope you guys are doing well today. Tuesday, April 22nd. It's draft week. We're 2 days away, basically, from the NFL freaking draft, so that's awesome. We're going to talk about some corners today, go over our top 10 in the draft. Mike, the Chiefs, do they even need corner help? They went and got Kristian Fulton in free agency, so it's kind of looking like it's going to be him, Jalen Watson, and Trent McDuffie out there the majority of the time. And then they still have some other guys there, too, with Najee Johnson, Josh Williams, etc. What do you think? Do you think they're looking at a couple of these guys? I know they've met with some.
Yeah, the Chiefs are looking at corners. I think Brent Veach already said in his press conference the other day that this was deep. The corner class was deep, and there's a lot of value between rounds 2 and 4, maybe early 5. I happen to agree. I think this is one of the deeper positions player-wise when it comes to rounds 2 through 5. I think your top few, you're not going to grab some of these top guys. Like 1, 2, and 3 is probably not going to be accessible, and maybe even the top 5 or 6 are not going to be there when we pick. But if you look around second, third round, there's a lot of good talent between maybe CB5 and CB12, CB13. Yeah. Maybe even all the way down to CB20. So there's a lot here. I do think the Chiefs may grab one of these guys. They've met with a few.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's definitely something to talk about. But appreciate you guys being here today. I see you out there. I see Larry, Cole, Becky, Josh, Kyle, Kim, Sam. Kay Wayne says don't stub your toe on the corner. You don't want to do that. That's definitely something that Brett Veach don't want to do in this draft.
Yeah, they've done that a few times, huh?
Yeah, for sure. But if you guys don't care, hit that like button for us. It just takes a second, and that would help us out. Also, if you're watching on X or Facebook, share it out with your friends, family, followers, all that fun stuff. But, Mike, let's just jump into it. Let's roll through this one today because I want to get to the chat. I want to talk to our friends this morning. So let's go ahead and start this thing out at number 10.
Yeah, we'll just start it here at number 10. I'll throw it up on the screen for you guys. Number 10 is going to be Siobhan Revel Jr. out of East Carolina. A lot of people have this guy higher. Some people even have him in the top 3 or 4. Some people don't have him there because of certain concerns. He's 6'2", 194. He's got pretty good arm length. Actually, he's very those drawings of aliens you see with like the big head and the long arms and everything. That's what this guy looks like. And I'm not saying that he looks like an alien, but he kind of plays like one, too. It
kind of sounded like you were.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, he's just got long arms. He's got long limbs. He's tall. He's lanky. He's going to be decent if he can keep himself healthy. His athleticism score was 3rd overall at the entire combine. And he's just a big dude. He's coming off of a torn ACL, and that is the one thing for me that I just couldn't put him up in my top 5 or 6. And then the more I kept watching of certain players, I just kind of like them a little bit better. And these number 10 and number 9 are both coming off injuries for me. And so that's the big reason. But he's got pretty good technique. He's got great explosiveness. His great athleticism. Sometimes in zone coverage he gets a little lost, and his timing and stuff is a little inconsistent. But basically he stays in phase. He can pick the ball off. He's just a big, tall, lanky corner. And again, if he hadn't tore his ACL, I think it was the 3rd game of the season, he's probably higher on this list. But I think if you're looking for a strong man-to-man corner that can turn the ball over, this is your guy, and I think that puts him on the Chiefs' radar.
Absolutely. I think on tape, this guy at his best, dare I say, reminds me of Sauce Gardner a little bit, or a TJ Tampa from last year, something like that. He has a cool story, man. So he went from the Amazon warehouse to the NFL draft boards. That's this kid's story. Like you said, 6'3", 193 pounds, a good corner. In 2023, he was pretty much just a special teams guy. And then after working the graveyard shift at Amazon to chase his football dreams, Revel showed up at an ECU camp, ran a blazing 4.4 40, and jumped out of the building with an 11-foot broad jump. The Pirates took a chance on the JUCO product, and that paid off in spades until that cruel twist of fate, Mike, where he tore his ACL in 2024. But before his injury, he was making waves as a potential top 15 pick in the entire NFL draft.
Yeah.
Had a highlight reel that went crazy. Scouts were all over this kid. The 2023 campaign was a masterclass in defensive back play, 54 tackles, 12 pass breakups, and all kinds of great special team stuff. He had like 2 blocked kicks to close out that season. This kid's just super fun to watch. Like I said, cool story there where he was kind of not even into football that much, working at Amazon, and then went and tried out and started making waves, man. It just sucks that he did have to get injured. Coming off the injuries, definitely scary with the skills players, of course, with the ACL tear, especially corners, the way they have to twist, turn, all that good stuff. So I just like the length of this guy. He's got the speed, man. Like I said, with the 4.40, he's smooth, very smooth to me. And I think he could definitely be a good pick for somebody, especially if he drops quite a bit because they're worried about his medicals. I think this kid could be a steal for someone potentially.
Yeah, I totally agree. I like Siobhan Ravel. Could he go first round? It's very possible. Do I think that he probably lasts to the second? Maybe due to his medicals, but he's a freak athlete. A freak athlete, not a freak.
Right.
Freak
if
athlete.
it wasn't for his
get to
ACL injury, Mike, he would be higher up this top 10.
Yeah, and
right?
I mean, a lot of people may not care. That's one thing we can't evaluate our medicals. So
yeah, so
we'll
you
say
have to
this
be
time and time again.
You have to be a little leary of that when you can't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can't evaluate it. We can't get any inside info on it. So I mean, I'm not going to try to project that he's completely fine. I don't know. Let's get to number 9. Number 9 is Notre Dame's Benjamin Morrison. K. Wayne will be pumped about this one. If anybody knows about it, it's probably that fella. Corner out of Notre Dame, 6 foot 193. Steve, he was 13th overall at athleticism in the combine. He was 4th overall in production and 6th overall in total score. Again, Morrison is coming off an injury as well. Okay, so this guy it seems like he's had a couple injuries in his career. I'm not 100% sure of that one, but I feel like he got hurt early in his career. But he missed a very good chunk of this season because of a hip injury. They're saying it's not going to affect him long term, so that's good. He's only 21 years old, 6 foot 190. He's very smart. Football IQ's off the charts. He's very smooth in man coverage. He's got great instincts. He'll track the ball. I think he's going to be a guy that some teams like and some teams aren't so high on. So I think he could be an outside corner in a very strong man coverage system. I think in a zone system, he could fit as well. But I think he probably flourishes a little bit more in a man-to-man system. He looked pretty good when he did play this year. He didn't allow any touchdowns. He didn't allow but 12 receptions. If you go back to last year and in 2022, he actually scored over a 77 both seasons in PFF. It was a 79 in 2023. And he only allowed 4 touchdowns in his entire career at Notre Dame. And I want to say it's been like, 130 targets. He's only allowed maybe 60 receptions. So the guy can flat out get out and play. Watch tape of Maryland from this past year before he got injured. I want to say it was week 3. He looked really good there. So I think Benjamin Morrison is going to be a kid that some teams will like and some teams won't. I think he's got some first-round talent there late. I just don't know if the injury will allow him to be picked in the first round or it's going to be more of a second-round pick here.
Mike, we got a freaking 20 bomb from our girl Valerie. Let's go,
That was
baby.
a long, intense...
Let's go.
Why did you just stop talking and everything? Like, you're just very concerned.
I was thinking about
this.
Benjamin Morrison, and then I saw Valerie's 20 bomb.
Dang.
So I thought I would get that.
That was a long, dramatic pause.
I wanted some noise to play, but it wouldn't work. There's that, too. Maybe that's what you're talking about. Either way, appreciate the 20, Valerie. Thanks for the support. That's freaking awesome. You guys show her some love in the chat, please. Valerie. And we thank you. Yeah, Mike, Benjamin Morrison... To me, he was one of the better ball hawks on film. I thought he was always where he needed to be. always a threat to create a turnover. So I'm pretty sure he had like 6 interceptions his last year in college. Um,
2024 he had 0, but he
was
did
that
have
23?
He had 6 in 2022 and he had 3 in 2023. So he's at
Okay,
9.
I got you. I got you. I see it now. 9 career. I see. Okay, but no, what I saw with this kid remind me a lot of like Andrew Booth from Clemson, something like that. He's a guy that could probably sneak into the back end of the first round potentially. He does have. Uh, he comes from a family of athletes. His dad was an NFL corner, right? Pretty sure his Daryl was his name. So I mean, he does have in his family. He's got some NFL talent as well. So he probably grew up in the game and working on this stuff. I think he's just a guy. You know, he had 26 starts in South Bend, so I think he's just a battle-tested corner. He played elite competition, uh, exceptional speed, all that good stuff. I think the short area quickness with him was pretty nice, and that's what made him be able to be that ball hawk type. He can stop on a dime, get to where he needs to be. Really good ball skills. So yeah, I think he could potentially sneak into the back end of the first round too.
Yeah, I like him for press coverage. I like him for man coverage. He's smart and willing to defend against the run. I think he's willing to do it. He's not great at it because he's so slender at 190. He sometimes doesn't get off blocks very well, and he's not the best tackler I've ever seen, but he is willing to put his nose in there and hit somebody. So I'll give him that. And maybe he don't have the best long speed, so sometimes he gets a little handsy with receivers. So there are some limitations here, but I think overall he's decently smooth. And with his football IQ and his maturity level, I think somebody's going to take a shot on Benjamin Morrison. I really do. So we'll jump into number 8, Steve. Number 8 is a fella that we've talked about on this show a lot recently because we both thought that the Chiefs would maybe target this kid a few times with interviews and different things, and they did. They looked at him during interviews. They looked at him at certain. I don't remember if it was a top 30 or what it was, but they did speak to him, and that's Iowa State corners Darian Porter. Steve, we liked Darian Porter, what we've seen on film, and as soon as this loads up, it'll get for you guys. We liked what we've seen with Darian Porter, and at 6'3", 195. This dude is super like athletic. He's got super good long makeup speed. You can see his athleticism score was number 2 overall at the combine at a 93. His total score was 5th overall at 79. He didn't have much production because he didn't play a heck of a lot at Iowa State. I think he only had 1 year where he started, and it was this past year. But Darian Porter, I just want to like talk about his metrics for a minute. So he had a 4.3 40-yard dash, which is super elite. I think that is it wasn't. Maxwell Hairston out of UK actually ran a faster 40 at 4.28, but a 4.28 and a 4.3. I mean, come on, that's 0.02. That's pretty quick. And Darian Porter's at 6'3", 195. He did have the most. It's elite. It's very elite. He's got the highest 10-yard split, or the lowest 10-yard split, rather. The fastest 10-yard split. I'll get it out. At 1.49 out of all corners in this draft. So he is the fastest within a 10-yard range. He's got a 36.5-inch vert. He's got the longest arms in the entire corner draft class this year, and he's got 9-inch hands. So Darian Porter, although his big knock is he's a 6-year senior and he's 24 years old. That's his big knock. It's hard to get that out of the way. But he's got tons of length. He shadows defenders. You cannot complete a deep ball on this kid. I think he's only allowed 1 deep ball in like 2 years or something like that, over like 25 yards. It's insane. He's just elite combination of size, length, and speed. That's just it. I don't know how else to say it. He can contribute on special teams. He's got 4 career block punts. So I think he's got everything that you would look for. Do the Chiefs get him in the second round at the end of round 2? Possibly. Would they maybe have to move up in the round 2 to get him? More than likely so. But we did say that with TJ Tampa last year, and TJ Tampa actually lasted to maybe the 3rd round. So there are these physically gifted athletes that we see on film and we're like, hey, this guy looks like he could go maybe in the first 2 rounds. And they will fall through the cracks a little bit. Darian Porter could be one of those guys, Steve, but at 6'3", 195 and all his physical traits and the fact that he hasn't played much football, but he's still developed this much, although he is 24, somebody could take a shot on this guy in round 2. The Chiefs would be a team I would very much consider taking that shot.
Potentially. I feel good about them looking at this guy in the 3rd round. I actually almost had them taking him in the 3rd round in my first mock, Mike. I told you that. I said that I just have this gut feeling about this Darian Porter kid, the way that Brett Veach likes the corners to be. He just falls into that mold, and the athleticism's through the roof. I think you mentioned that he was converted wide receiver. He went from wide receiver to cornerback in 2022. But before all that, he was a freaking track star. He's had all kinds of Iowa State records, especially the 400 meter. He blew that one out of the water. Just crazy fast, rare athletic gifts with this kid. So, I mean, he's fun to watch on the football field in all phases, really. I mean, if you go way back, you can watch him play as a receiver, as a cornerback. He's super fun. And then, of course, special teams as well. Of course, the Chiefs love that special teams help, too. They always like that. I mean, I think that's why Najee Johnson stuck around this long, to be quite honest about it. Yeah. And then they used Josh Williams and special teams quite a bit, too, even though he likes to get penalties here and there on special teams. But Darian Porter finished his career out at Iowa State with 51 tackles, 3 interceptions, and he was an honorable mention in the All Big 12 selection. But I think that the numbers is only part of the story because, you know, he just converted a couple years ago to corner. But overall, he played in 64 games. So, I mean, the kid's been there. He's done it. He's played in a lot of big games as well. But the thing about him is, too, Mike, he's also a very smart kid off the football field. I was mentioning that he played like 5 bowl games and all that, so he's got some experience there. But he's also a very smart kid. He had multiple academic all Big 12 honors over the years he was in college, so always at the top of his class. And just that rare length, speed, the ability to play special teams and do all this different stuff. I liked this guy as a Chief, man. I think that this is something that's definitely going to intrigue Brett Veach and crew.
Yeah, he's a little slender. So, again, kind of the same way with Benjamin Morrison. Getting off blocks, tackling very soundly is going to be one of his knocks, I guess. But he's got great hands, man. I think he plays a little bit better in zone than he probably does man-to-man. But he does have a lot of speed to make up in man-to-man if he was to get beat. So, I think
he reminds me of Kamal Hadden minus the attitude.
Yeah, there's
a little more speed, man.
A lot of things to like about Darian Porter. I'm with you. I don't know if the Chiefs are going to be able to grab him in the 3rd round if you don't take him with the L'Jarius Sneed pick at the top of the 3rd. I don't know if he's going to be there that late.
You never really know with corners, man. I mean,
don't because
like TJ Tampa, we thought he could stick it to the back in the 1st round last year, and he ended up going in the 4th or something crazy.
And TJ Tampa was also from Iowa State, and the reason that Iowa State and TJ Tampa kind of fell a little bit is because people thought he was better suited for zone rather than man-to-man, and that he had some limitations. It's Iowa State's scheme. Remember, they always run that weird wide 9 thing and that weird defensive scheme. And I remember when Will McDonald, the pass rusher, come out, he actually looked pretty good in the NFL, but a lot of teams are very skeptical of him because of that weird defensive that system they run there at Iowa State. So Iowa State's defense always confuses a lot of NFL scouts. So it is possible Darian Porter could fall around 3 or around 4. He could be that guy that slips through the cracks, especially when you combine it with his 24 years old age, because that's a little high.
Man, there's a couple guys in this draft that I think that the Chiefs, it's literally like you couldn't build a better player for the Chiefs and what they like in their systems. But they're both, like, the 2 guys off the top of my head is Darian Porter, Alfred Collins from Texas, and defensive tackles, and they're both older guys. And that's the thing that kind of scares you. It's like, well, will they even invest in this player? So definitely something to think about there. Got a 5-bomb from Buck and Bob. Let's go. He says, 2 days, dudes. Can't wait. Thanks for all the draft content. It's not enjoyed a whole lot of draft content, but He does like arts. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for the 5. I'm sure you guys have been going at it too. See y'all working over there. Appreciate you, bud. Mike, yeah, let's move it along, man. Who you got up next?
Yeah, I want to say, what are we on now? 6?
7.
No, we're at 7. Number 7, Jacob Parish, man, out of K-State. A lot of K-State people out there probably know Jacob Parish. He is a very intelligent football player. I think he's going to be pretty good at the next level. He's very fundamentally sound in a lot of things. He's 5'10", 191, so he's not as like we've been talking about, minus Benjamin Morrison, we've been talking about like 6'3", 6'2 corners, long, lanky guys. This guy's more built like a corner that you would think in your head, like not that long, lanky,
like
athletic
McDuffie?
freak kind of guy. Yes, in that mold. He was 4th overall in athleticism, 8th overall in total score at the combine, Steve. Shorter arms. He doesn't even have 31-inch arms, but you give that a little bit of a pass because he is so fast. He scored elite in all 3 categories, 40-yard dash at a 4.35. He was an elite 10-yard split at a 1.51. And he had a really good vert, 37.5, which finished probably in the top 5 or 6 corners that tested at the combine. And at 5'10", he may have had the highest vert out of anybody that was 5'10" or lower. I think he actually did. No, I take that back. Upton Stout tied him out of Western Kentucky. He's only 5'8.5". So he's got that explosiveness. His hands are decent size. They're 9 inches. So, I mean, he's going to be fine there. You shouldn't have any problems catching the ball. He's been a 2-year starter. He got a little bit bigger in 2024. I thought when I watched some of his 2023 film, he looked a little more like less body developed. He looked better in 2024. I think he does decently well. I think he slows down wide receivers very well in press coverage at the line of scrimmage. I think his hips are smooth. I think he stays in phase with wide receivers very well. I think he mirrors them pretty good. I don't have any problems with Jacob Parish. When I watched this film, I didn't see anything that like blew me away. You know, like I wasn't watching this film and I was like, this guy's just flat out shut down, or this guy's a can't miss guy. But he's just very solid. He's like the dude that's going to pick up his lunchbox and go to work every day, and he's not going to complain about it, right? Like, this is him. And the numbers back me up, because when I go to PFF, I look, and his numbers don't blow you away. He's got a 77 coverage grade, a 65 in man coverage, and a 77 in zone. So it's like, it's nothing crazy, but when you watch him, he just doesn't give up a lot. He allowed 40 catches all year long on 72 targets. He allowed 35 catches in 2023 off 70 targets. So he's going to allow about a 50% completion, but they don't really get nothing out of it. Only 300 yards off of it and 2 touchdowns. He did have a pick this year. He had 4 in 2023, so he can pick the ball off. I just think he's got agility. He's fluid. He's got some good recovery speed. I think he's probably going to be more of a nickel corner in the NFL. I don't know if he's going to be like an outside reliable man press guy. So I think he could be like a nickel guy. I do think he's got like some Trent McDuffie qualities. I think Trent McDuffie was a way better prospect coming out, obviously. I thought Trent McDuffie is probably a top 10 prospect in that draft. I don't think Parish is there yet, but I can see Parish being drafted in round 2, early round 3. I think that's his spot, man.
Yeah, well, like you mentioned, he's good in press technique. I like him a lot. Looks like he can overwhelm a receiver right off the bat at the line of scrimmage a lot of the times. He processes things pretty fast. He's got elite click and close ability when he's breaking on underneath routes, which is probably from that freaking 4.3 speed, man. That's another 4.3 guy. You know, the Chiefs love their speed, but this is the second one in a row we've talked about. Darian Porter 4.3. Now Parish runs the 4.3. Natural anticipation, jumping through, throwing lanes. It seems like he's just always perfectly on time. Really good at hand fighting through the routes, and he doesn't get flagged. So he's really good at staying clean with that. Well, technically clean, but that's the kind of corner that the Chiefs like. They like those physical guys that can get in there, and sometimes they do get flagged a lot. You know, like L'Jarius Sneed and Joshua Williams, some of those guys. But that's what the Chiefs like, and I think Jacob Parish does that really well. Once again, it's another guy that brings immediate special teams value. with the crazy straight line speed, and he's really willing to tackle too. That's something I do like about Jacob Parish. Um, he's pretty physical, even though he's kind of a smaller guy. He's got some size limitations, but he will stick his face in against the big blockers and stuff. He don't care, and he'll go after some guys in the run game. So I really like him. I think one of the things I like about him too, Mike, he likes baiting.
Go away, baiting! Damn it.
No, man. When I was watching his tape in the zones, man, when he's sitting in zone, he'll bait a quarterback quick, and he's got such like breaking speed. He can get in there and really bait some quarterbacks into throwing some bad balls and creating turnovers. And that's something I really liked about Jacob Parish, man. I think he's a fun one, very intriguing. Like I really like Darian Porter for the Chiefs. I also really like Jacob Parish for the Chiefs.
Yeah, he's from Olathe, Kansas. So Olathe. Yeah, I get it. Not born and raised there. Don't care how it's pronounced, to be honest. But anyway, receiver, defensive back, and running back in high school. He won the state title with a 100-meter state title, 10.47 seconds. It's insane. And like you said, I think he gets a little more. He gets super physical and handsy and grabby with bigger receivers. But that's his fierceness and his competitiveness. And like you said, he tackles. He's sometimes he'll shoot for ankles more than anything. But at least he'll put his nose in there and do it. Like he's a little bit better at getting off tackles and tackling in space than the other corners we've talked about so far, to be honest, in my opinion. So he does have that going for him. I think Jacob Parish is decent. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people's got him in the top 100 at least, Steve. So I'm saying he could slide into round 2 if somebody falls in love with him. Round 3 is probably his sweet spot.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs have met with him. The Chiefs liked him. I think he even came. Did he come to the local pro day? I think he may have been in the local pro day as well. So I think that's definitely a corner that the Chiefs will probably have on their short list, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I got him right there with Porter. That's what I was saying. I think that the Chiefs are definitely going to take a look at him. Let's move it along, though, Michael. We're going to be at number 6 now. Is that right?
Yeah, number 6. FSU's Azareye'h Thomas, man. I wanted to put this guy higher. So I had Azareye'h Thomas probably at number 2 or 3 for the longest time. And I really like the way he plays, but there were just certain things. Like, for one, I didn't like that he didn't run or do anything at the combine. Okay, but he did have big hands. He's got some of the biggest hands in the draft. 10-inch hands at corner. So only him and Justin Wally out of Minnesota has got 10-inch hands. So I like that. He kind of reminds me of a little bit of Justin Watson in a way, the way he plays. It's not super flashy, but he can just blank you very quickly from one side of the field. He's 6'1.5", 197. I would have loved to see him run because I don't know how fast he's actually going to test. I'm sure at Florida State's pro day he probably ran, but I wasn't able to find a lot of info on some of these pro days this year. They're keeping them very hush-hush. I was looking at Oregon pro day, and they only put out a few numbers, and certain Ohio State players, they were very hush-hush on a lot of these pro day things. And I think it's because they don't really do official stuff. They just let people time it themselves and go on. It's a little different than the combine. But he was only 24th in athleticism at the entire combine. His production score and total score was both 9th. Azareye'h Thomas is a guy that you really like because he's just big and strong. He's physical. He's got quick feet in man coverage. I think he just looks natural playing the position. But he does lack some strength in a few areas. I don't think he gets off blocks very well. I think he's a little liability in a run game. I don't think he tackles very well. The one thing he does have going for him, though, is he's only 21 when the season starts this year. So I do think with him being a wide receiver in the past, having those big hands and having a good feel for where the ball is at all times, I think that helps him a little bit where you do think he should be getting beat or whatever. I do think that he's so effective and so big in press coverage because of his size and the fact that he was a wide receiver. He knows where the ball is going to be. He's got those big mitts. He's just up there, man. I think PFF said he was in the top 85th percentile in arm length. So he's just got monstrous arms. He's long. He's lanky. There was a lot I liked about him, but some of the guys ahead of him, I just like their film a little bit more. And I can't really put my finger on it as to why. I just think that this dude's going to be more of a – I think he's going to be more of like a cover 3 guy. Like I think he's going to be that, and I think he's just going to be – he kind of reminds me a little bit of Kristian Fulton, what we picked up in the offseason. So if the Chiefs do want to move on from Kristian Fulton after this year and they want a guy sort of like him, and like I said, he kind of reminds me of Justin Watson a little bit. So if that's the route they want to go, that's fine. I could see him being on the list of the Chiefs, their short list. I don't know where he goes in the draft. I'm going to be very honest. He could be a guy that I think could go top 20. He could be a guy that falls into the late second for me. It just depends on what people like and what their preferences are.
Yeah, I think mid-second round's probably a safe bet for Thomas. Exceptional length, got the quick twitch, all that good stuff. Advanced route recognition. I'm sorry. He's got the natural mirroring ability. It really stands out on tape when he's in press coverage. And of course, like you mentioned, the rare combination, the size, the speed, fluidity, all that good stuff, man. I think he excels using the sideline as an extra defender. He likes to be on the boundaries out there. Just a high level of competitive toughness. He got that dog in him. That's one thing I like about some of these guys. Just very, very competitive and really want to be out there. He does have his drawbacks, though. Like you said, he'd probably be a little higher on our list. It's just like sometimes, like I said, he's good in press, but sometimes the technique's a little inconsistent. Maybe that's something that could get taken advantage of a little bit in the league by these veteran wide receivers and stuff. Kind of, he has lapses sometimes in tackling, like where he's not the best tackler in the world. Kind of tries an arm tackle, and that's something that I hate to watch, and I know you guys do too. Like, I think it was a few years back we had a secondary that wanted to do nothing but arm tackle. Probably the year, I think it was the last season that Honey Badger was with us, and he kind of, started olaying people. It was just rough to watch. I hate that kind of stuff. And then with Thomas, he kind of gets grabby too. If he's going against a receiver that can beat him vertically, he'll start getting grabby. He'll start getting those penalties called on him. But I mean, other than that, the kid's absolutely insane athlete. I think he is really good. I think mid-second rounds where I kind of see this guy going at. And I think he could be a good piece for somebody. Like you said, Mike, he's young, but he also emerged as a leader in 2024. He got the Bobby Bowden Leadership Award at FSU, and they say that he showcases a lot of maturity in the locker room, and that it's pretty impressive to see how good of a leader he's become at that young of an age. And I think the best thing about Thomas is he's literally just scratching the surface of his potential. So, all those things that we talked about, why he's not in the top 5 on our list, he's still just scratching the surface, man. This kid's got a lot of upside.
Yeah, to me, he's borderline round 1, right? Like, you could like him. I think he falls into no man's land for the Chiefs in a way. Again, I think he very much reminds me of the corners that we've been drafting. He
reminds me of Joey Porter Jr. sometimes at his best.
He's got that. He reminds me, though, of like the Josh Williams, the Jalen Watson, maybe even the Kristian Fulton, like I just mentioned. So he's got that same build and that same everything that the Chiefs would look for. The problem is, if you're not willing to spend a first-round pick on him at 31, he's probably not getting there at the end of the second, right? So he almost falls into that no man's land of like, are you going to trade up to take this guy? I don't think you would trade up to take him in the second. Could you fall out of the first round and eventually settle on him, say, 5-6 picks into the second round, and that's what you wanted to do? I don't see the Chiefs going with a corner that early. So I feel like Azareye'h Thomas is just kind of like, he fits the mode of what the Chiefs like to do. I just feel like he falls so weirdly in the draft at like being CB5, CB6 that I just don't see him. He would have to slide. He'd have to be one of those sliders down to the end of round 2 for the Chiefs to look at. And that is a possibility, right? But getting into the next, the top 5, man, I was excited about the top 5, and this was the cat that knocked Azareye'h Thomas out of the top 5 for me. And Steve, we know all about him, man. Maxwell Hairston from UK. We watched him at UK. This dude set the world on fire at the combine. He come in at 5'11", 183. So he's a little slender, a little small, but he was 8th in production, 8th in athleticism, 7th in total score. Maxwell Hairston was just insane. He ran a 4.28, which was the fastest 40 out of all corners at the combine. That is insane elite. He had a 1.5 10-yard split, which is elite. He had almost a 40-inch vert. So he was second out of all corners in vert. I think only Caleb Ransaw out of Tulane, who, by the way, is going to be a nice sleeper. Remember that name. Maxwell Hairston, a 39.5-inch vert, 31-inch arms, 8 3/4-inch hands. So his hands are a little bit on the small side, but they're fine. His arms are a little bit on the short side, but I think you're fine at 31. Steve, Maxwell Hairston's going to be a guy that comes in to somebody's system coming out of UK, and he's going to kind of be like Drew Phillips like last year. Like Drew Phillips come on, and a lot of people, even me included, I didn't think Drew Phillips was going to be so impactful, and I think he looked really good for the Giants. So this dude, he can change direction. He pedals very smoothly. He's very connected at, all points in the receiver's route tree. He doesn't really get lost a lot. He mirrors you. I watched some plays of him, man, where he would just sit back and watch teams throw these little wide receiver bubble screens. And after about the second one they would throw, he would literally just take off on a run and start and pick the ball off and just take it a pick six, like 80 yards. He would catch the ball for them and run the routes for them. Like, he is that fast. It is insane how quick this dude is with his burst and just the way he generates speed right off the rip. We watched it at UK. I watched it on film. He's got it. It's legit. I think this kid could go in the first round. He's got first round capabilities. Like, no doubt, first round capabilities.
Just off the testing alone. I mean, the 4.2 speed.
He missed some time this year, though. He didn't play after week 4. He was injured, I think. I'm not for sure what the injury was. But yeah, something happened. He didn't play for like 5 or 6 games this year. So I don't remember what it was. Maybe a shoulder. Yeah, I think it was a shoulder injury. He hurt his shoulder, I think, against Ohio. But Steve, they know him as Mad Max. That was his nickname at UK, and it shows. The kid's good.
Right. Yeah, so the knock on Maxwell Hairston is going to be his size, right? He's just not exactly what you'd want him to be. You're going to worry about maybe his durability a little bit. I know he missed 5 games in 2024 with a shoulder injury at UK. So he just lacks that ideal play strength and size and stuff like that. So I think that's going to be the thing that people shy away from this kid on. But I mean, he is an insane athlete, like you were saying. He comes from a athletic lineage. Former linebacker Tywan Jones in the NFL is a family member, and he also had a cousin who played in the NBA. So, I mean, a lot of these, he just grew up around the athletes. Elite feel for zone coverage. I like the way he has that spatial awareness and ability to process like multiple route combinations. I think we saw that quite a bit in college. He just looks really comfortable out there. And you mentioned the closing burst, the closing speed. It's insane. When he sees it and he gets it, that's what he's going to do. He's always trying to telegraph throws. So it's fun to watch him play. Changes direction, insanely fluid. I mean, he kind of like he's a baiter too. He'll bait quarterbacks into stuff. You mentioned that. You mentioned he also likes to essentially just run the routes for these guys. If he sees something developing and he does process quick, he can definitely turn the ball over fast. And what I really like about Hairston, Mike, like my favorite parts of him, is he brings like an infectious energy to the secondary. We saw that at UK. Just got good energy, keeps the guys upbeat, keeps the guys going and pumped, and he just got that dog in him, man. He likes to compete, and it's fun to watch. And another thing with him, elite ball skills, not just ball tracking, but he can also catch anything. Guy's got super soft hands. He could almost be a freaking receiver if he wanted to be. So I don't know. I really like Maxwell Hairston. I think somebody does take a shot on him at the back end of the first round, probably. He reminds me a lot of Nate Wiggins. just like crazy fast. And I think Wiggins ended up going in the back end of the first round too. So I think that's kind of where I'm seeing Hairston go.
Yeah, he's a solid tackler. I think he wraps up well. He does what he needs to do there, which is puts him even at his light build. You mentioned it. He's light there at 180, whatever it was, 185, 186. But he does tackle well. He's got great quickness. He understands the run game. He understands everything. He would coordinate on the back end for UK. He's constantly being just a talker out there on the field. You see it in all the film. I think he's going to be a better zone coverage guy than a man guy because he tends to get a little grabby because he's smaller, right? So he has to do something. I see I don't know. I can't really think of a corner that he plays like.
Nate Wiggins, obviously, because of the speed and stuff, but he also reminded me of Greg Newsome. If you remember him from Northwestern, that's kind of what he reminded me of. Which maybe, I think, where'd Greg Newsome end up at? Cleveland or somewhere?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Maybe like a Cam Smith or somebody like that. That's the best I could do. It's just he's a little light. Look, if he could put on 5-6 pounds of muscle and maintain that speed, which I don't know why he couldn't, even if his 4.2 dropped to a 4.3, 4.33, if you put on, if you're up to 195 running a 4.33, you're still a monster.
Yeah. Something else to note about Hairston too. He was top of his class academically, all through.
Yeah, he's super smart. He's high IQ there.
That's something that the Chiefs, believe it or not, a lot of times back in prior drafts, when we start really digging into these guys that the Chiefs are meeting with and the guys the Chiefs pick, they really like high academics. They like leadership qualities. They like to hear about what these guys are like as leaders in the locker room. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't think about when they're, kind of looking at draft picks and stuff. But I think that's a lot of the stuff that the Chiefs look at on the back end.
Yep. Kyle, baby, HD Chiefs fan, member for 19 months, probably been longer than that. He says, thanks, gentlemen, for the draft info. Your hard work helps an old fart that has never had the desire to dig into prospects. Really just want the Chiefs to get at least one real contributor.
For sure.
Same, dude. Man. It comes into one of these things, when you start looking through it, you start getting favorites and stuff, but you can't let that cloud your judgment because there's times, Steve, that we'll really fall for a player and we're like, dude, this dude looks good. This could be the guy. And then we don't see all the medicals and we don't see the interviews, and the Chiefs may not even have him on their board. And so when we're getting hyped, dude, we could take this dude in round 2, he's sitting on the board, and then the Chiefs pass him. I think TJ Tampa was one last year that we kind of thought the Chiefs were going to look at, and then it just kept going. And I want to say the Ravens ended up snagging him right before we picked, or we passed him, and then they picked him on the next pick or something.
Right. You got to be careful with some of these guys, man. It's like the hot girl in high school. It's crazy, though. But you got to be careful. You don't want to get stuck with them. So, you got to look at all aspects of this thing. So, but yeah, I agree, man. I want at least one person that can step in and contribute right off the bat. That's something that we haven't seen since probably, Xavier Worthy, obviously. But if you go outside of him, we haven't really got that. We didn't get that with Felix. And obviously Sky Moore was kind of a bust for us. So I want somebody this year that can come in and do exactly like Trent McDuffie or George Karlaftis did and just come in and immediately contribute to this team. And a lot of people want to shy away from certain positions, or we don't need that, we don't need this. I don't think the Chiefs necessarily need anything. I think they're set up, we've talked about this a million times, but they're set up for best player available. And to me, I want to see just some kind of a game changer for the offense. That's where I'm at. And I know we're talking about defense right now, but since Kyle brought it up, I want to see one guy that can come in and shake this offense up a little bit, be it a running back, a receiver, whatever it might be. I want to see something that can rock the boat a little bit because it's been pretty damn stagnant for the last couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. Steve, number 4 on the list, man. Let's get back to the list. 4, 5, and 6 for me was the hardest tier to rank. So I think you have tier 1, which is 1, 2, and 3, and then tier 2, which is 4, 5, 6, 7.
1 and 2 is pretty much a given, right?
Right. So 4, 5, 6, 7. It was Parish, Azaria Thomas, Maxwell Hairston, and then number 4. I went ahead and went with Trey Amos out of Ole Miss, and there were things that I watched on film that I didn't love from Trey Amos, and then there were things I did like from Trey Amos. And so the reason I went with Trey Amos at number 4 over everyone else, and I'll preface this before I get into what I do, I want to talk about why I ranked him higher and why we decided to do this. I think his size is a little better than Maxwell Hairston, although his speed is not, right? So I think he's more of a press corner. He's more of something that's going to fit our scheme a little better. And so I put him with a little notch above Maxwell Hairston. Could Hairston get drafted before him? Absolutely. It's not even a question. He could be drafted before Trey Amos. I put him above Azareye'h Thomas because I thought his film was a little more consistent. And then with Jacob Parish, it was more of the size thing again. I think Jacob Parish is going to be more of just a nickel kind of guy, and Trey Amos is going to be more of like a outside, coverage guy that you can rely on. So I went ahead and made Trey Amos because he's more of a prototypical guy at 6'1", 195. When I watched him on film, Steve, he done a lot of things right, man. He's got the ideal size. He's got good height, good weight. He plays great in man-to-man press. He's got quick footwork. Just good hands at the line, hits sound. He puts them exactly where he needs to be. He looks good in cover 3. He looks good in certain cover 4 quarters type things. He didn't have a lot of turnover quality, not a lot of interceptions. I think he's only had 4, which is completely fine. I don't know how many. Our corners in our system rarely get picks. Like, it took McDuffie 3 years to get a pick or something, it seems. But I just feel like he was very hit or miss when it comes to the run game. And there was times that he just looked like his feet were in quicksand, right? And that was a thing for me that destroyed me, is that he didn't have the same explosiveness as that Hairston had. He didn't have that same quickness. And so I wanted to see what he did at the combine. And at the combine, he didn't really wow you, but he confirmed that he did have decent speed. He ran a 4.43. Okay. So the 4.43 helped a little bit in long speed. So I was like, okay, well, I feel a little bit better about him going deep. But his 10-yard split was atrocious, Steve. A 1.6. That was one of the slowest, if not the slowest, I think, tied with B.J. Adams out of UCF. They were the slowest 10-yard splits of anybody. So in short area quickness, a 1.6. And then when you look at his vert, a 32.5. Super, super horrible when it comes to a guy that's supposed to be explosive. So I didn't think he tested very well. I wasn't able to find what he did at the pro day for Ole Miss. Surely he had to do a little bit better than he did at the combine. It's going to be hard to do worse than a 1.6 and a 32.5-inch vert. But he's super athletic. When you watch him on film, you're like, this does not equate to how he tested. So I'm going to take a shot on him and say that, look, he just tests poorly. Okay? But otherwise, his football on the field, he looked okay, man.
He's got, what do they call it? Like test anxiety or something? Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe, dude. Maybe. I don't know, but it's just, he looked a little sluggish, and actually he tested a little sluggish too. So that could be a red flag right there.
So I'm not trying to get anybody super horned up this early in the morning, but I feel like Trey Amos at his best, Mike, he kind of reminded me of a 2023 L'Jarius Sneed, where he just had that nasty press man, at the line of scrimmage, just bringing everything, make it just disrupting.
Isn't that probably why the Chiefs, though, have looked into this kid? They met with him pre-combine and at the combine, I believe. So
of course, got the quick feet, violent hands, disrupts the receivers. That's right off the line of scrimmage. That's what it. The good things about him. He shows pretty good spatial awareness in contested situations. Pretty explosive. Now, like you said, that 10-yard split was a little sus, but. He does show a little bit of juice in the tackling game, stuff like that. He's a good tackler, so that's something that sets him apart from Sneed. So he's like Sneed on a line of scrimmage, but he can also tackle and not miss a whole lot of tackles, so that's good. Elite ball skills that showed up pretty consistently in his tape. And I just think he's like a showcase corner against vertical routes. You put him out there on the edges, and I think you got a good corner out there, Mike. He does have some of the drawbacks. He does get a little handsy, but that kind of goes along with the territory, right? We're talking about a guy that I said kind of reminded me of L'Jarius Sneed. He reminds me of a TJ Tampa who reminded us of L'Jarius Sneed.
Yeah.
At other times, he reminded me of Kamari Lassiter from Georgia. But that's just kind of, it comes with the territory. If that's the kind of football you're playing, you're going to draw some flags from officials, and this is a guy that would, in my opinion, draw some flags. Like I said, he's a good tackler, but he could get better. He could get better with his technique and stuff. But you definitely don't have like a L'Jarius Sneed problem where he just misses a lot of tackles. I don't see that with him. So I think if they want somebody in the vein of that and like kind of get that kind of guy on the field, which is what I thought we were going to get with Joshua Williams, but they really haven't gave him a whole lot of a chance to be out there. But if they want that like physical corner that can just kind of impose his will on the line of scrimmage, I think this is definitely one of them. He's got NFL starting traits. I mean, all across the board. Like you said, he don't have that like short area quickness. I don't see him being like a ball hawk per se or anything like that, but he's just going to be somebody that can disrupt some routes and basically blank you out there on the edges. You know, I think he'll be a good pick for somebody.
Yeah, you mentioned Sneed. Sneed's from Louisiana. This kid's from Louisiana. They've been eating the same
Gumbo,
right? Yeah. He committed to Louisiana Lafayette. He played at Alabama for a year, transferred to Ole Miss for a year. So he's played at some high-quality SEC school levels, some high competition. I like what he offers. He's a competitor. That's what I see. Again, I think Maxwell Hairston probably gets drafted before him. It wouldn't surprise me. Azaria Thomas, Jacob Parish, either one of those could maybe be drafted before him.
So Hairston's kind of that crazy athlete that just went off and like blew the world away at the combine, stuff like that. And then you go watch his tape and you see how good he is on top of that.
Right.
And I think he could definitely be overdrafted. Absolutely. So, I mean, it would not surprise me a bit to see Hairston drafted before Trey Amos and even maybe a couple of the other guys we're getting ready to talk about.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on, man. We like Trey Amos. Again, I put him at the top because of, like you said, the Sneed qualities and the way I think he would fit our stuff. I think Hairston probably gets drafted before he does. And more than likely, I had a round 2 grade on Amos. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Ruben.
Yeah. He says, guys, do you think we go offense or defense in the first? Ruben, I think it depends on how the board falls, to be quite honest. I really think, like, I know what we've said it over and over again, but I really 100% believe that the Brett Veach and Andy Reid and everybody that's involved in this is kind of set themselves up to where they can just take the best player available. So I think they're going to stick to their big board, and whoever's there is there, and that's who they're going to take. So it kind of just depends on how the draft shakes out, right?
Yeah, exactly. I want to get to this one. Jeff threw this up a few minutes ago. Sorry, Jeff. We were in the middle of analyzing our boy Trey Amos. Couldn't get to it. But he says, in my opinion, we get a running back in the 3rd round and the defense the rest of the draft, who we will not re-sign from the 2022 draft. Plus, Chris Jones needs help on both sides of him, his position, while he takes a breather. Give your take on this. I think you're right, Jeff. I think we've got to look at the defensive line. Look, we've not been we went over this yesterday. The Chiefs have been a very mediocre to well below average team drafting defensive linemen over the past 20 years. Chris Jones is the best by far, obviously.
They're not hitting any home runs in the trenches.
But there have been so many bad defensive line picks. Like if D Ford makes it to like your literal top, and you got to go all the way back to Tamba Hali. So that's where it is. Otherwise, you're drafting guys like Tank Tyler and Glenn Dorsey and all Brett Veach's great picks he's had at defensive line.
Breland Speaks.
Yeah, the Breland Speaks and Akeem Nunez Roches and all these guys, right? They've never really panned out. And you've seen the same with the ones he's drafted. Derek Nottie, he keeps 1 year in him, and Derek Nottie's never lived up to expectations here. He's not been it. He drafted Colburn last year. Colburn don't even play for the team anymore. They've been really bad here, but they've got to look into defensive line. And I think they've got a double dip here possibly. And Steve, I wouldn't rule out defensive end either. I think they need some edge rushers too, because Omenahue's not going to sign here long term. We already know he thought he was worth $55 million a year this year, and it didn't work out, so he come crawling back for a cheap price. But he's going to do the same stuff next offseason.
Yeah, for sure.
and it's not a long-term deal. Mike Dana,
Especially if he really does show out, you know?
Right. And I love Mike Dana, but Mike Dana is he's a rotational guy. I love George Karlaftis, but George Karlaftis is not ever going to be, in my opinion, an elite top 10 pass rusher in this league. We've got to find one of those. I don't know if you're ever going to find it. It's sort of like a left tackle. Those are premium positions. They're tough to find when you're drafting at 31, 32 every year. So I think you got to keep taking your shots, though. The one thing I'll say about the running back round 3, I don't know if the Chiefs are going to go early with running backs. Running backs very deep, but they could. Steve's under the impression that they could possibly take a shot even maybe in round 1 if it presents itself with a guy like Travion Henderson.
Yeah, I don't know about first, but I mean, if Omarion Hampton's there, maybe. I think this is a good draft to look at a running back, though. For real, I think it's pretty deep.
Do you think the Chiefs have Travion Henderson below Omarion Hampton though on their board?
Yeah, I think everybody does. I think that Ashton Jeanty and Omarion Hampton is the top 2 on everybody's board.
I understand that, but Travion Henderson seems to fit more what we do.
He is a great fit, right? But I think Hampton can play that role, and he could probably do it at a higher level.
True.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know, though. I mean, you know, I say that, and I feel like it should be common sense because I kind of feel like Ashton Jeanty is like that generational talent. Omarion Hampton's knocking on the door of that, and any other year he would be the guy that everybody's talking about, except for he just happened to come out the year Ashton Jeanty did. But then, to me, there's kind of a gap there after those two on to Judkins or Henderson or Caleb Johnson, whoever you want to talk about. But I just feel like those top 2 are top 2 for a reason.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was trying to get to the chat here. Yeah, here we go. KC Chiefs Productions with a 5-bomb. He said, I heard that Cincinnati is desperate for Phil McCracken.
Phil McCracken. Yeah.
I mean,
I think Cincinnati, they're pretty good with players like Phil McCracken.
whatever. We've done pretty well with Cincinnati players. Travis Kelce. I mean, come on.
No, he's talking about them Bengals. Who dey?
Oh, you're talking. Oh, okay. I thought we were talking draft. Okay, you're going who dey? Yeah, they need somebody to McCracken. I guess
they're gonna draft Harvey Longschlong from Alcorn State.
It's possible. Appreciate the 5-bomb, brother. Steve, let's get back into this. We've only got a few more. We're in the top 3, man. I think the top 3 is pretty universal, in my opinion. Maybe. Maxwell Hairston may have caused this. Maybe somebody that loves Azaria Thomas could do it. But we're going to go with Jahdae Barron out of Texas. This kid showed out at the combine. He had a good day. He ran a 4.39 40-yard dash, which is super elite, a 1.5 10-yard split. His vert was a little troubling. I mean, at 35 inches, you're like, oh, 35 inches, because he is 5'11". I mean, it's pretty good. But I would think that running a 1.5 10-yard split and a 4.39, that shows explosiveness. So I was thinking his vert would be closer to like 37, 38, but that's just nitpicking at this point. I think Jahdae Barron is good. I think he's probably going to be a nickel back coverage, not the Chad Kroger nickelback, but you know, what?
Look at this photograph.
Yeah, there you go. If we look at the photograph of a still image of Jahdae Barron on the football field,
every time I do, it makes me laugh.
Yeah. I think he's probably going to be that nickel guy. And look, he's smooth in coverage. I think he's got above average size and speed for a nickel in this league, but I think that probably is where he goes. He's pretty good at redirecting receivers within the first 5, 6, 7 yards. He can pretty much dictate how he wants them to run the route. They don't get super clean releases on him. Look, he's pretty good ball hawk. He made some really good plays on the ball. There were times that they would just throw one up and Jahdae Barron would come off his player and just all the way down the field and pick it off like a center fielder. So there was a lot of things I like. He's very versatile. I mean, that's just what you see when you see him. I mean, he's just all over the field. He's decently well built. He reads routes before they do. We were talking about Maxwell Hairston doing that. He's got a knack for doing this too. Jahdae Barron can do it. I think he's a cover 3 guy. Quarter schemes, that quarters defense. I think that's his fit again. You know, he could probably even switch to safety in the NFL, I think, and probably be decent. I like him. I think he's a good pick. I think he should go in the round 1, and he's borderline one of my top 20 players in this entire draft.
Yeah, I think that Barron could prove to be the best cornerback in this draft when all is said and done, a couple years up the road. But we'll see. Obviously, you got generational talent like Travis Hunter out there, but I mean, if I was him, I'm going receiver. I mean, that's just what I would do.
He says he's going to stay with both, Steve.
Yeah, well, whatever. I also have had monkeys fly out of my ass. So
well, here's the thing:
that.
he gets to claim both if they have
no
him play
one's
defense
doing
the
that.
entire time. And
no
then,
one is doing that. No one's paying a player.
Maybe they're going to let him play
top
like
tier
6
money
snaps
to wear
on
him
offense.
down into nothing in 6 years. It's not happening in the NFL, brother. Grow up. Time to grow up. Got to grow up. But yeah, outside of Will Johnson, is that his name? Will Johnson? Johnny Barron's probably, I think, got one of the best shots to be the guy out of this draft as far as corner goes. Elite processing skills, diagnoses route combinations in real time. You can watch it on his tapes. Just super smart. He's got that controlled violence as a tackler. Got that dog in him. He likes to hit people. Exceptional plant and drive ability. Shows up repeatedly on film. Routinely beats receivers through their spots. High-level zone instincts. Makes him a masturbator, if you will. He'll do exactly what we were talking about. He'll trick quarterbacks into making terrible throws. He's just got this uncanny knack for lurking around in passing windows. So, I mean, he's always where he needs to be at. Great press. Here's the thing with Johnny Barron. I think he's going to be a slot corner. He's going to play the nickel, but he's going to be damn good at it. He's just got nasty route recognition skills, and that's going to make him a nightmare in the slot. He sees route breaks develop, and he has great leverage skills. I think he's going to be a nightmare for defenses in the slot.
Do you think the Chiefs look at somebody that we think could primarily be a slot receiver, or do you think because of Trent McDuffie and them trying to go out and grab these edge boundary guys and let McDuffie play more slot? Or do you think that maybe you need the slot guy so McDuffie can now get himself to the outside? He doesn't have to come down in the slot and that'd be such a liability.
I don't know. I kind of feel like they went and got Kristian Fulton so they could use McDuffie in the nickel.
Right. And it's like, do you want to pay McDuffie top tier just to be a nickel corner? Like,
this
that
is
just
a guy
seems
that would
counterproductive.
Watch something stupid happen. Watch Brett Veach blow everybody's mind. But I would not put Johnny Barron on the Chiefs' radar for the simple fact that I feel like he is a Trent McDuffie.
Well, I feel like he's obviously going to go before we pick.
That too, but I mean, you know how things go. But once again, this kid, immediate special teams help as well. Mike, on his tape, I saw traces of Roger McCreary, the kind of undersized guy from Auburn a couple years ago. Top tier Kool-Aid McKinstry. And even at times, if you want to go like crazy comp, like I think he can touch on Patrick Surtain a little bit. Like sometimes he just looks that good. But yeah, I mean, of course they all have their drawbacks, but I mean, as far as this draft goes, he's definitely top 3. And he could prove to be the best one out of the group, man.
Right. Flip says, all right, Mike, I'm going to hold you to George Karlaftis not being elite.
I saw this. I was wanting to bring it up earlier.
I think during a second-term contract, he's going to explode. He very well could. I've said this from the beginning, Steve. I don't think George Karlaftis is a top 10 defensive end in this league.
You think there's just like physical limitations to him, like with the speed
he's never going to have that closing burst. I mean, you can work on it. He's got a little better with it, but he just doesn't have that same, like, he doesn't have that freak athlete in him that the Myles Garretts have. You know what I'm saying?
But
like,
you know what he does have? A damn good work ethic.
Yeah, he does, and that's what I'm saying. But that's why he gets what he gets is because of his work ethic and his high motor. He's not getting it because he's physically gifted with all the traits. And that's not a knock against George Karlaftis. That's just me saying, I really love George Karlaftis, but I just don't think he's like a top 10, 15. Like if,
Yeah, you never see him being a Max Crosby
exactly,
or
that's
Trey
my point.
Hendrickson. Yeah, I
he's
get
never
that.
going to be
Yeah.
that guy. But at the same time, it's tough to get a that guy unless you're drafted super high. But that's
Especially-
the only thing about him.
especially
I
on the
love
edge
George
there.
Karlaftis. I'm just saying that's how I always see it. And I've said that countless times. That's not like a new take for me or anything. Steve, number 2 on the list, man. We've only got 2 more. Will Johnson. I think everybody's going to have Will Johnson at 1 or 2. And, of course, whoever we got at number 1, they've probably got him at 1 or 2 as well. It's pretty consensus that these are the top guys, man. 6'2", 194. When I watch Will Johnson's tape, he's just he's an immaculate, like, corner. Like, it's just what you want to see out of a corner. He's
He
a ball
looks
hawk.
like J.C. Horn, bro. That's who he reminds me a lot of.
He's got the interceptions, man. He's got 9 interceptions in 3 years. He missed some time this year. He only played 6 games because he had a shoulder problem and a little bit of turf toe. So I think he's going to be fine. That's not going to be a problem. But, dude, he's got some of the fastest, quickest footwork you're going to watch from a corner. He's a little lighter and leaner, but at 202, he's very physical. I think he's going to be fine. Compared to all these other corners in this draft, 202 is huge. Is that exactly what he weighed in on? I think he weighed in at 194 officially. So he didn't do anything else at the combine. But,
Yeah,
dude,
194.
he's long, he's lean. He's got that footwork, man. He can play zone. He can play man-to-man. I completely just really like Will Johnson. Would love for him to fall. Not going to fall. It's just not going to happen. He's a top 15, top 20 player in this draft. He's going to be taken and drafted as, just like that. I see a lot of like Darius Slay in him, to be honest. That's who I see.
Yeah, well, what you see with Will Johnson, if you watch the tape, is just elite football IQ and zone and stuff like that. Like, as far as anticipating routes and stuff, we've talked about some of these other guys. Will Johnson kind of is ahead of the game there. And then he's super competitive in press coverage. It's fun to watch. He'll get nasty with it. He'll start, like I always say about some of these guys in this draft, man, they got that dog in them. They like to compete. And I've seen that more in this draft than I've seen in a few years probably. And Will Johnson's definitely one of those guys. There's not a whole lot bad to say about him, to be quite honest about it. He kind of is everything you want as a corner. I mean, if you had to take a knock on him, maybe he can get a little grabby or something, but that just comes along with being that physical corner, competing out there. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
One thing that kind of annoys me about Will Johnson, Steve, is because he could possibly be the number 1 corner in this draft in certain people's eyes. But the one thing he lacked on film was it looked like he didn't have a long recovery speed.
Speed. That's what I was going to say. I mean,
And then do you want to know what he did? He didn't run at the combine, and he didn't even run at the pro day.
You know what that tells me?
He didn't run at the pro day because he said he was nursing a hammy, which is
Whatever.
possible.
It tells me that his 40 time is not great. It's not what he wants it to be, so he's just not going to do it. And,
Yeah.
I mean, and if I'm Will Johnson, I do the same thing because you know what? If you want me, I don't even want you knocking me for my speed. Go watch my tape. It doesn't matter.
Right. So that's his one knock, and we will knock him on it. He didn't run. He didn't clear it up.
The speed is really the biggest.
I'm
going to
say he was probably not running where he wanted to do. They probably wanted him in the low 4.4s, and I bet you he was somewhere around 4.5. So if he's around 4.5, so be it. There's been corners that have
he's
ran
definitely,
super slow.
I think that he actually has been clocked before to 4.56. So I think that's kind of where he sits at in that 4.5 range.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to get bumped out of the top 15.
Right.
Because you could feasibly get a guy like Maxwell Hairston who
like,
just sets the world
we've
on
talked
fire
about
at that 40.
We've talked about this before too, though. But does it kind of like put a little stain on him that he would not run it? Like I feel like people do notice that, right? It's like,
Maybe,
oh, well,
but
obviously
he
he's
had
not
a
wanting to run this
hamstring
40.
injury, though.
I get it, and you can use excuses all you want, but when it really comes down to it, it's like he didn't run at the combine, he didn't run at his pro day. What's he hiding? And I don't think it's necessarily hiding anything. I think everybody knows he's just not as fast as some of these other guys. He's not.
Right.
But it doesn't matter with his style
Yeah.
of play. It does not matter. Like I said, basically what you see is what you get with Will Johnson. He just reminds me a lot of J.C. Horn. Like that's who I saw over and over again on tape. So I mean, he's going to be good. He's going to be good
Right.
wherever he goes.
Yeah, man. And look, number one, we'll just get to number one. We all know it's Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter he's a DB, he's a corner, he's the number one corner, he's the number one wide receiver, which whenever he wants to do. If I'm in the NFL, I'm going to pick one of those and I'm going to just, stick with it. This kid splits his time and he's still that good. So could you imagine if he would stop splitting time and just pick one?
Yes, dude. Don't be a slap nut, Travis Hunter. Just focus,
he'd be insane,
bro.
Right, 6 foot, 188. He didn't do nothing at the combine. He probably didn't do nothing at the freaking pro day. He don't have to. He won a Heisman. He don't care. But yeah, he did improve playing corner in 2024. Just everything about Travis Hunter you like. He had a 90 coverage grade, an 87 coverage grade in zone, and an 83 in man-to-man. He ended up having, I want to say, 7, 8, 9 interceptions over the past 3 years. That goes all the way back to Jacksonville State. Or wasn't that where he was? Jacksonville State? I don't remember. It's been so long ago. It seems just like he was born in Colorado. He just assimilated so well. But he's had, 6 touchdowns defensively, I think. Dude, he can flat out play, man. He just mirrors everything. He's long, he's lean, he anticipates the routes. He's obviously a receiver, so he knows where they're going to be. He gets there. I mean, when you call out any of his negatives, you just feel like you're just being an idiot, like you're just nitpicking at him. And so I'm not even going to say his negatives, okay? I'm just not even going to say because I don't even feel like there's that many.
Well, let me just sum up. I can sum up Travis Hunter for you. So, insert any skills that you would like your cornerback to have, and he's got it.
Right?
Like he's an elite athlete. We all know that. And I think the thing about it is I'm going to poke at him. I'm going to make fun of him for trying to play both sides of the ball in the NFL. It's not going to happen. But the thing about it is he did do that in college, and I think that shows you that he's got elite conditioning levels, right? So he's always going to be ready to go. And the biggest thing for me with Travis Hunter, just shows up when the lights are on. He's going to show up in those clutch moments, those crucial moments. In college versus Baylor, he had a forced game-saving fumble, and he sealed up multiple wins with late interceptions throughout his career. So he shows up to the, he steps up to the plate when he needs to, and I think that's definitely, it's just one of those things that just, you can't teach that, right? Like with Patrick Mahomes. Just clutch as hell. It's just it's like a gene they have, right? You can't teach it. I think Travis Hunter kind of has that on the defensive side of the ball, and I think honestly, if I was him, I'm going receiver, and I'm going to focus on receiver with the ball skills he has, the athleticism he has. I'm going to go be a receiver in the NFL. I'm going to focus all my time on that. Forget about this DB stuff, and I'm going to be a top receiver in the NFL. I'm going to make tons of money, and I'm going to be a prima donna like the rest of them. That's what I'm going to do.
For sure, man. So that wraps up our top 10. Again, Siobhan Revelle at 10, Benjamin Morrison at 9, Darian Porter at 8, Jacob Parish at 7, Azaria Thomas at 6, Maxwell Hairston at 5, Trey Amos at 4, and then, of course, the top 3 was Travis Hunter, Will Johnson, Jahdae Barron. Steve, there were some guys that we wanted to get closer to the list, and we didn't. I know we both like Quincy Riley out of U of L. I think he does pretty well. He's a little older at 24, but he ran really well at a 4.48 and 1.54 10-yard split. He's a ball hawk guy there from U of L. Do you got any other guys that you kind of liked on the corner list? Because I've got a few that I think that people should definitely keep an eye on, and I want to kind of talk about those a little bit. But do you have anybody you want to talk about that we didn't cover today?
I think when I was watching the tape, man, there's a couple of guys that kind of made me, focus, pay attention a little bit. I think there's a guy, I want to say he's from Rutgers. He had a crazy name, like Longerbeam or something.
Yep, Robert Longerbeam.
Yeah, so he looked pretty good. He had some really good tape.
Tiny guy.
No, but it was funny because you almost write him off, and then you're just like, oh, okay. But he's got like crazy speed. I'm pretty sure he ran a 4.3 too.
Yep, 4.39.
There was another guy in Iowa, Jamari Harris. I think he could be pretty good too. I've seen some good tape on him.
Yeah, Jamari Harris, he's big, 6'1.5", 191. So he's got that. Look, I really liked the kid out of Western, Upton Stout, super tiny, 5'8.5", 181, but he tested off the charts. A 4.44, 151, and a 37.5-inch vert. So that's somebody that somebody's going to take a swing
Yeah.
at him in like round 4, round 5, but I think you're going to get a really solid football player there. But there was a few guys, man.
Don't forget about Kobe Bryant too.
Yeah, you liked him. I really liked Caleb Branshaw out of Tulane. 5'11", 197. He would put his nose in on anything, and he tested off the charts. Nobody's talking about this kid. He ran a 4.33 40, a 1.52 10-yard split, and he had the highest vert out of everybody that tested at a 40-inch vert. He is a monster. He will hit you. He will blow you up. I really like Caleb Branshaw out of Tulane. Another couple guys I liked when it was pure coverage was Justin Wally out of Minnesota. Nobody is talking about Justin Wally out of Minnesota. 5'10", 190. He ran a 4.4, which is elite, a 1.52 10-yard split, which is elite. He's got the biggest hands of any corner in this entire draft class at 10 inches. And if you listen to some of the stuff that this kid did this past year, it is astronomical. He earned an 83.4 career PFF coverage grade against only hitch routes. So against hitch routes, he rated the 4th highest out of the entire class. He ranks in the top 10 in coverage snaps and in targets. He had the 3rd best first down plus touchdown rate allowed at only 19%. He gave up 0 touchdowns, only 7 first downs surrendered on the entire season, and he ranked in the top 5 in interceptions with 3, the top 5 in forced incompletions, the top in coverage stops, and the top in passer rating allowed, only allowing 31.3 against hitches and other routes similar. So this kid can flat out shut you down in short space. He can take out certain routes and just eliminate them from the book. Justin Wally out of Minnesota, he's not getting talked about. He's just not. He started 42 out of 49 games at Minnesota, so he's stuck there. He's played there, and a lot of Minnesota guys have been doing that. Ariante Ursery stuck there and played there. When they go to that system, they like it. They produce. I really do like this dude. I'm afraid that maybe in the NFL he gets flagged a lot because he's a little handsy. But, Steve, that's what we like. Justin Wally, Minnesota, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody didn't take a shot on him in round 4, round 5. I don't know. I like him. I think he's somebody that can be talked about.
Yep. Valerie, appreciate you. Thank you. Thanks for the gas. Thanks for the dono earlier. Those are hard to come by in this offseason. It's tough right now out there for some football content creators. Let me tell you that. Jay Freezy, he says, pick Trey Hendrickson at 31. I can feel it down in my plums. Mike, can you feel it down in your plums?
I can feel it all the way down in my plums, getting all swollen, with a light blue hue to them, fresh and juicy, ready for the picking. Hey, that plum looks good. Can I trade it for your Twinkie? Let the juice spill down my chin. You know what I mean?
I like Trey Hendrickson in the second round. I'd love to be able to get him in that second round pick. I'd feel real good about that.
I don't know if the Chiefs are willing to invest at a running back that early.
31 just seems a little bit rich for the third. That's just saying that he is the number 3 running back, which we actually had Quinshon Judkins ranked above him.
But he was at 4.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. 31 just seems a little rich to me, especially the way that running backs have been falling in the prior drafts. So
I'm not saying it couldn't happen,
I
Steve,
feel good about him in the second, but
somewhere in this off-season process, somebody along the line, some kind of Chiefs talking head or somebody has convinced Chiefs fans that we are literally going to invest in a running back like very quickly. And I don't know. We've just not shown that. We've shown it with Clyde a little bit. I don't know if that worked out too well. Although Clyde looked very good in his first year, and I think that injury really hurt him.
Yeah, I think some, different factors.
But I'm still not 100% sure that we do it. Now, I'm not saying we couldn't. I'm not that, I'm probably below 50-50 that we would take a swing at a running back that early.
I think it just depends on who's on the board. A lot of people's like, oh, we have to take offensive line. Our offensive line stunk, and we need that. And it's like, yeah, I get that. I understand that sentiment. Like, Josh Simmons is the hot topic right now. If you go across Chiefs content creators, mock drafts, whatever it is, Chiefs are taking Josh Simmons. You can go ask ChatGPT, and I bet you they'd tell you that Chiefs are going to take Josh Simmons first round.
Is it turning into the Xavier Worthy thing where it just feels too easy?
Not necessarily like that. To me, it's just not that. Like,
yeah, because I feel like Xavier Worthy was just an obvious fit.
I feel like this is just a pick that people are trying to force on the Chiefs, right? And I don't think that's going to happen. I don't. It just
What do
really
you
depends
think
on how their
for,
board
to be
falls.
honest, let's talk about Josh Simmons for just a second, or offensive line in general. If the Chiefs look? I think you're feasibly going to have to trade up to get a Josh Simmons. I don't know if he falls to 31.
No, I think he's
If
somewhere
his
between
medicals have
15 and
checked out,
31 for sure.
Right. If his medicals have checked out, he's probably going top 20-ish, right? Do you trade up and take a guy? Do you put more capital into a left tackle that by all means, Steve, is probably going to sit behind Jalen Moore? At least this year. So would you do that and then be like, well, at worst, he can play right tackle?
I think there's some intriguing prospects coming up in next year's draft and stuff like that to where if you're going Jalen Moore, you're going Jalen Moore. To me, if you go out and get Josh Simmons, it puts you in a weird spot.
But I guess what if Jalen Moore gets injured or Jalen Moore doesn't pan out the way we thought? I guess you got that to fall back on.
You can't scoff at tackle depth. You can't. So, I mean, I'm good with it. I don't care. It wouldn't make me sad or anything, but I don't know. I don't see it like everybody else does. I mean, they very well could go out and trade up a few picks and take Josh Simmons if he's there. But to me, it's just I almost feel like they're going to sit where they're at. And
Simmons scares me a little bit, too, coming off that injury.
Yeah, I think there's some questions there, so for sure. Lone Wolf says the Lions are shopping Jamison Williams. Should the Chiefs consider trading for him? So a lot of people liked Jamison Williams to the Chiefs when he came out in the draft, but the Chiefs showed him and us very quickly that they didn't really care that year.
I don't know. That's not true. Remember, he was wearing red. He thought the Chiefs were going to
That's what I'm saying, and they didn't
think
care.
the Lions just couldn't get it.
The Chiefs didn't go up and get their boy like everybody said they were going to do. He even wore the red suit. And then he looked real sad when he got drafted.
I wouldn't be
by the Lions.
opposed to getting a Jamison Williams.
No, I mean, he's definitely got talent, and he fits the script for a Chiefs player, right? But the way they've hit on Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice, and they've signed Hollywood, I doubt they would invest much in a Jamison Williams, especially with some of these guys that are coming out in draft. Like, there's some guys that could definitely follow the Chiefs first, even second round, that could do some damage with the guys we already have on the field. But, yeah, I'm not opposed to it, but I doubt they do.
Oh, well, man. You think what's the odds you think we go corner? So we talked about corner today. What's the odds we go corner in the first round at 31? You think the Chiefs would take a swing on Trey Amos that high?
No. I think the only
don't?
chance that the Chiefs have of taking a corner in the first round would be if the sky fell and Travis Hunter, Will Johnson, or there is one guy that I could see the Chiefs like actually grabbing in the first round and just really like making people scratch their heads as far as corner goes, and that's Siobhan Revel Jr. I could see it just because of the speed and the length and all that. Like that seems like somebody they could look at the back end of the first round, something like this crazy out of the blue, and you're like, what? Just kind of really depends. I just don't see him taking corner. I think.
Well, he was our number 10. You think the Chiefs have that big of a disparity with us? Because you said Trey Amos wouldn't even be considered. He was our forward.
No, I don't think Trey Amos fits the bill for like somebody they'd reach on. I don't. I think they would be looking for that elite speed. I'm thinking second round, end of second round. Honestly, to me, if I'm taking corner in this draft, I'm looking at early third to the late third round pick. I think that's the sweet spot because you're going to be able to get guys like the one I just mentioned, or Darian Porter, or some of these other kids that I think are going to be pretty damn good and kind of fit the script. I think the chances of them taking a corner in the first round are pretty slim.
So what are we looking at? Is it really between tackle, wide receiver, and
I
running back?
don't think it matters. I've said this 1,000 times. It's whoever's on their board when they get there.
I guess you got to put the defensive tackle, defensive end.
It could literally be anything. Just toss a position out there, and it doesn't matter. It's going to go all by that big board. I really think that's what they're going to do. Like whoever's there, or if they have a guy that they see a good value in that they had ranked really high.
Okay, let's play an exercise.
Let's go get him.
Let's do an exercise. You've got Travion Henderson on the board. We'll just say he's RB3. You've got CB4 on the board. You have Trey Amos. You have Josh Simmons. And then let's say you have, let's say like Derek Harmon sitting on the board. Out of those four, who'd you take if you were the Chiefs?
Out of those four in particular?
Did I mention Luther Burden?
No, I would grab Luther Burden if he's there.
So you just take Luther Burden over anybody. I'm just trying to say, if you're
if he's sitting there at
we'll just say like
yes.
all you have is wide receiver 4, running back 4. Like you just got the fourth of every position. You're taking
if Luther Burden falls, I think you take that shot. I just do. And then after that, me personally, I'd stick trenches. I'd take Josh Simmons or Derek Harmon, one of those two. Yeah, that's kind of where I'd be at. I just don't. I think that after they got Kristian Fulton in free agency, they signed him to what, 2 years?
I think corner is going to be more of like that second to fourth. I really feel like you almost have to take the tackle.
Sure.
We've discussed.
I don't value corner in this draft that much. I think third round's a sweet spot if you want to take a swing on a corner, or even late. They met with what's his name, Melvin Smith.
Yeah,
he's going to be potentially a UDFA or 6th, 7th round pick. I know the Crease don't have a 6th round pick, but I mean they could maybe nab him in the 7th. I don't know. I just don't think that's high priority right now with Kristian Fulton, Trent McDuffie, and Jalen Watson. I don't. I know Jalen Watson's pretty injury prone, but I just think that we're in a decent position there.
Yeah, I know the Chiefs like Charles Grant coming out of William and Mary at tackle, but again, I don't think he's a year 1 starter. Which I don't know if the Chiefs need a year 1 starter. You know what I'm saying? Like you have Jalen Moore, you've got all that. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I think
it's going to be a very. I think this draft's just basically a crapshoot this year, Steve. I think if we get 1 or 2 players right, hang a plaque on the wall because it's going to be wild.
This one is.
This one seems well harder to pick than even last year's, and last year's was pretty difficult.
I feel like last year I kind of had those guys where it was like I could almost bet you that the Chiefs are going to take Kingsley Suamataia and Kamal Haddon. Like I would have bet.
You almost could have said Xavier Worthy, but we were just kind of like, surely
Xavier Worthy was so obvious that it was almost
scary, and we were like, surely they're not going to be that obvious, and sure enough, they were.
And they were. So yeah, this one's a tough one. So, and while you're talking about that, we both did a mock draft for the Chiefs. I think we're going to collaborate on one too, and put that out before the draft, and we'll see what we do individually, and we'll see what we do as a team, Michael. We'll see how that goes. Probably best as a team, if I had to guess. Real quick, James Stinson says, "What do you guys think about Kendall Paul, East Texas A&M?"
I didn't watch any film on Kendall Paul, East Texas A&M.
No, he's a corner. I know that.
Good call.
That's about it. I didn't watch any of his tape. That one. I didn't watch any of his tape, but I have read up on him just a little bit. He is a former track guy. He's pretty explosive. He's pretty fast. I do know that teams like that, but they definitely, from what I can tell, everyone has this kid going undrafted. He's going to be like a UDFA that we could look at.
He's super tiny? I was thinking he was like little.
He's 5'8". He's real small. Real small.
Well, what's his weight? Because I was thinking he was super light.
5'8", 162.
That's really light. Like, what's he going to do?
He's tiny. He's a tiny man.
He kind of reminds me, okay, who's that kid that come out a few years ago from Houston? Remember that? And everybody kind of liked him, but he was so tiny that he just really didn't get drafted. But I think the Raiders ended up taking him.
I remember who you're talking about, and I can't put a name to it. So.
Yeah, I can't either, but like
Let's call him Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim from Houston.
He's a wee little guy.
I don't know. Somebody might bring him into a camp, but yeah, he'll probably go undrafted.
I'm thinking of UDFA. I mean, he might be. Yeah, that's what kills him, right? But he does have the speed and everything. Shout out Valerie, Buck and Bob, and KC Chiefs Productions for the donos. Appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. Also, appreciate all you guys that have just been watching today and hanging out with us, going over some cornerbacks. We're almost there, man. We're going to talk about some defensive ends tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, tomorrow's Wednesday, isn't it? Well, I guess the draft's Thursday. We'll talk about some defensive ends tomorrow, but I'd like to get our other mock draft out as well. So we'll figure out how to do that.
We'll probably do our top defensive ends, and then we'll do our draft tomorrow. We'll figure it out. We'll either go early or late. I don't know how my day's going to work out tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. It'll be fun. And then, of course, Thursday, I thought earlier where Sam or somebody had asked what time we're going to start draft coverage on Thursday. I know the draft starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Mike will be by himself at the very beginning for a little bit because I have another prior commitment. So I'll be here just a little bit late, but I should be here right at the second pick. So it'll probably be, if I had to guess, you're going to get on about 7:30, something like that.
Nope, 9:45.
That'd be what I'd look for. But appreciate you guys being here. Once again, thanks a lot. Hit that like button on the way out if you haven't done that already. And keep your eyes peeled for tomorrow. We're going to have some more content. We'll be back live again tomorrow. And then all weekend, going to be covering that draft. So it should be a fun one, man. It's going to be a long week, but it's going to be a fun week. And then we immediately get to start looking into who the Chiefs picked and how they're going to contribute. So that's always a fun one. But you guys have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
Wow.